Okay, so today I want to talk about what is probably one of the biggest tone mistakes that beginners always seem to make. Now, you might be saying tone's subjective. Now, I'm not saying good tone, bad tone. That is completely individual. But there are some key things that I think are misunderstood in the beginning phases of playing guitar. So, to start with, this is my tone that I like to play. Okay, so I would say that's my sound. It is an accumulation of different tones that I've liked from different players that I've just put all together into making my tone. Now, the big thing that beginners hear is that the gear doesn't matter, it's all in your hands. And I think that that is a very misleading statement. Now, I think that the gear is not the most important part, but it is an important part. So I don't know. I've never liked that statement. I'm like, well, it does kind of matter, because if you have a little practice amp and you're listening to Eddie Van Halen's tone and you're like, why doesn't my practice amp sound like that if the gear doesn't matter? Well, it's because the gear does matter a little bit. Also, real quick, if you guys don't mind, please hit subscribe. If you like the lessons, like just nerdy guitar content, please come back and hang out with me. It does actually help me and the channel out a whole bunch. So anyways, let's talk about tone. But the overlooked thing that beginners maybe don't see or understand is that if you want to sound like your favorite players, and usually in the beginning phases, that is when we are at our highest level of like emulation. We are trying to sound like somebody. Something made you want to play guitar, you're trying to sound like them. The biggest thing you have to know is that if you want to sound like your favorite guitarist, you've got to learn how to play like your favorite guitarist. It's not just enough to own all the gear. You could buy the exact rig. Maybe you're a millionaire. You can go out and buy, Slash's Les Paul, and you can buy his amp and all that stuff. But if you don't know how to actually play like Slash, you'll never sound like him, And then I think once you go through the phases of trying to sound like somebody else, you slowly start to create your own sound. Now, I want to talk about some players in here that are little things that I've taken or learned from them because I was trying to sound like them and I couldn't quite figure out why I sounded different. I mean, obviously the gear was different, but what I liked about their tone was not gear dependent at all. So let's talk about Dimebag Darrell, for example. Dime has been a huge influence on me, especially for like the heavier stuff. Now, I always loved the attack on his playing, and my tone is nothing like Dime's. Okay? But I remember watching him play one day, and I realized how he was choking the strings with his left hand. I'm talking about the Cowboys from Hell riff, by the way. Oh, he's doing a lot of up picks. Like, I was playing it all down. Yeah, I was going like that. And I realized he's really doing this percussive muting thing with his left hand, and he's picking way more ups than downs. And I had this huge, light bulb moment where I'm like, oh, up picks sound different than down picks. Down, up. Up had that snap, that little bit of like attitude that I couldn't figure out how to get. I'm like, that's what it is. It's an up pick. There was that tone I was hearing. It was not about the gear that I was hearing, even though, like I said, Dime's tone is very signature and it's not for everybody, but I realized the up pick sound is what I was liking. And then I realized if I move my hand around on the guitar, listen to all these different sounds just by moving my right hand to different spots. I could make it sound more like Dime by moving my hand up just a little bit. And again, my tone is nothing like Dime's. But that was a huge light bulb moment for me. Now, obviously, my favorite guitarist of all time, you guys have heard me talk about this many times, was Eddie Van Halen. And that is a tone masterclass on how to use your hands. And I'm a little bit handicapped right now with my index finger, but I can still implement all the things I learned, because Eddie's sound was so defined when he would do these little licks. And I'm like, again, how is he doing that? Well, for one, I realized he was really digging in with the pick. But It's the working right and left hand. Again, he was muting the notes. He was making them very staccato. That was the sound that I liked. His tone was not going... And some people might not view that as tone. They might view that as like technique or something like that. But to me, it was all just sounds, you know? But he was going like that. So pick, you do it ups and downs. Eddie did a lot of ups too. But the important thing that I took away from that was how he was releasing the note and making the note, you know, die out immediately, as well as muting it. Again, it was his left and right hand working together, just being very synchronized how they were doing it. Another big one for me was Nuno. I mean, I remember hearing Nuno play this stuff, and he was really the guy after Eddie for me that I was just like, whoa, what a cool sound. Like, I just love the way he plays, the way his notes sound. Again, it wasn't the tone, the overall tone, it was how he was playing his notes. And I realized, I'm like, oh, he's like combining hammer-ons with his left hand and real heavy muted notes. And normally I'd play this better if I could use my index finger. I think we'll just leave it there. That is, I think, one of the biggest tone mistakes beginners make, is thinking that the gear doesn't matter, or thinking it's all about the gear. But really what it comes down to is, if you're trying to emulate your favorite players, whoever made you want to play guitar, you got to learn how to play like them. You got to study them, man. The old saying is, the devil's in the details. And it really is. You want to make sure you're picking apart their playing, or just trying to figure out, like, how is he doing that high-pitched, scratchy sound that you hear that I liked on the picks. I'm like, oh, that's an up pick when he's going like this. How is he doing that little muted thing? It's like, oh, well, he's shifting his hand up a little bit here to give him a different sound to the mute. Versus all the way back here. And to me, that's tone, man. That is how tone is, you know, discovered, and you just shape your own. So other than that, I'm going to bounce out of here, guys. Hope you all are enjoying the videos. Noah, I always appreciate you watching and listening. And just know I'll see you next time. All right? Later, homies. Bye!